So I just want to point out that Call of Duty Mondays is maybe the greatest invention to having a happy marriage. And I know that may sound ironic, but what Call of Duty Mondays did is it created a night away from Banana. And so when we started playing Call of Duty Mondays, it was like, hey, it's COD Mondays. You go do your own thing. I go do my own thing. And even though we don't necessarily play Call of Duty anymore, not necessarily, we definitely don't, but I know Morgan does.
Yeah, some of us do.
She still goes on her merry way on a Monday night, and I go on my merry way on a Monday night. So Call of Duty Mondays, I have to thank for a very happy marriage. It's one of the best times of our lives, and I have a lot to thank for Call of Duty Mondays. What about you guys?
I mean, it was definitely a high point to look forward to, I think. I know without it, it seems like I don't get to talk to Ro anymore, or like I don't have it.
Good point.
It was more than a video game. It was a way to actually meet up with all of us now that we had all gone our different ways. And that part I'll admit to missing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a blast. Like you said, I was married, so I would get to play, and we would play for a while too. Like,
yeah.
Like 7 hours straight. I felt like
it wasn't 7 hours.
Oh no, there were 7 hour nights where we'd log off at like 4 a.m, 3 a.m.
There's definitely some 7 hour nights.
I did not have a 7 hour night.
That is true. Maybe you were. I mean,
it's not an absolute thing, Brett, where everything applies to everybody. But yeah, we had some nights where we played 7 hours. Right.
Sorry for exaggerating.
There was definitely, it was nice we log off late. That's for sure. It was fun. And
we need to cut the exaggerations. I'm a blunt man, and I need us to do exact.
only a Sith deals in absolutes.
It was more like 4 hours and 39 minutes and 52 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah, there we go. Very, very exact. Very exact. It was good times, and we even got to know people that
we didn't ever meet.
We didn't ever meet. Like Stang is, he's a guy that I'm pretty sure I'll never hang out with, but
you'll never meet him in person.
If I ever happen to meet him, I would be like, "Hey, Stang, what's up, dude? Like, hey, what's up, buddy? Like, he's just a friend of mine."
You had a chance at Morgan's wedding. You could have seen him.
I may have actually at Morgan's wedding. Now that you say that.
But that's one of those things where, that's what's great about online gaming is, you're out in Colorado. I'm in Pennsylvania. They're in Maryland.
Missed an excellent chance to quote the cable guy right there, Morgan.
I believe you're exactly located at. So we can all still connect and talk and catch up, and it's we don't miss anything. It's almost like we're still playing those games back then. I mean, we don't do Call of Duty Monday now anymore, unfortunately. But
no, it's Don't Starve. Don't Starve Tuesday.
Don't Starve Tuesday. Is that what it is? So step, you got to get Don't Starve. So you can do Don't Starve Tuesday.
What is Don't Starve?
It's a video game we play. It's about chopping wood.
It's just the survival. Yeah, it's just survival sims.
Chopping wood. Avoid deer clops.
The moose goose.
Don't make the big men angry.
Sounds like a blast.
It's like Call of Duty.
My fishing pole breaks every 7 uses. It's awful.
Yeah.
Do you get beat by a 12-year-old every once in a while?
No, we only let us in.
Yeah.
Just the dark kills us. Like it suddenly gets dark and you die.
Yeah, it's a little different. But it still involves teamwork. Then you got to survive together. Well, I feel like I don't really do much in it, but
you eat our food. That's what works for you. Like we come back to the refrigerator and we open it looking for a nice snack, and Morgan's eating it all.
So my guy can survive. But,
is this a PlayStation?
Yeah.
Huh.
Might be other platforms as well.
It's on all of them, I think.
Yeah, it's on all of them.
Sounds like a blast.
It is.
So what version, going back to Call of Duty, which version do you think was your favorite as a group?
It's funny. That's a really great question, BT, because each one when it was in its prime, like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, and then Black Ops 2, the Black Ops had the emblem creating, which was really fun. Creating your own Captain America shield or something. And they got really elaborate. And once we learned how to really do it, it was like, I need to do that. So that was always a lot of fun. But the Modern Warfare 2 and 3, they had some of the most amazing maps and weapons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think with the Call of Duties, the Modern Warfare games, the story, I actually like to play the story in those games.
Nobody plays the story. Don't lie to me.
Oh, come on. In the Modern Warfare.
I love playing the campaign.
That first Modern
worse
Warfare
as they
when they
went down the road.
That first Modern Warfare, spoiler alert, I mean, if you haven't played it now, that's on you. But when that nuke goes off, that was such a shocking, like, you just didn't expect that, to crawl around as your character and die.
Not fire a bullet. You could just follow your team and lay down, and they will kill everybody. You don't
everything,
in those games. It's barely a campaign.
But the first campaign for Modern Warfare 1 was when you asked that question last week, Morgan, about like a
game that you played that what you're just kind of like, whoa.
Like, yeah. I remember, I didn't think about it at the time, but as I was thinking about it throughout the week, I remember when that first time watching that nuke go off, you're like, damn, this is a different kind of game.
Yeah, that shocked me.
And it kills that guy that you were playing.
Oh, yeah, because you crawl around as him.
Yeah.
On the ground. Like, it was just shocking. You didn't expect that. And then, but multiplayer, I think Black Ops 2 is where we really hit our stride as a group of just playing together. I think that was a game where we would, we actually tried to level up the guns and unlock everything. And like, we really, we would, one of my favorite things is because that was still when you could hear people that weren't on your team.
Oh,
when
you
kill them, you could hear their reaction.
I forgot things were like that.
That was the best because I remember we would lock down half the map. We would take the shield, plant it, one on the right side, one on the left side, one in the middle, and then Stemp and whoever else playing with us you guys would run around but never cross the middle. So you would just run around picking the guys off, trying to get around us. I mean, that was fantastic. And the things that was called during that was amazing.
We felt like a pretty amazing team. And like one of us on the shields would be like, reload, because we have to reload these huge LMGs, and like Stemp would come and cover my shield for while I take 30 seconds to reload this thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have time for like care packages. We'd just be like, Stemp, I'm throwing a care package. Take it.
Yeah, it was great teamwork. And then it got really fun when we started. Was it Capture the Flag? That was really fun. Or what was the other? Domination?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Domination was.
We played that more Modern Warfare 3, I think.
What was it?
I think we played a lot of Black Ops 2 because Black Ops 2, you had to do the different game modes to unlock attachments and certain things for your gun.
Oh, you're right.
That was Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1. And that's why I think Black Ops 1 was the one where we were the most the team, because it wasn't just you being like, oh, I need to get Marathon Pro today. It was crap. I need to convince the other guys to do Capture the Flag for the next couple nights.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so it would be like, hey, guys, I'm thinking of prestiging. Do you guys mind doing these again? Like, maybe wait a couple
I forgot about prestiging.
Yeah, the prestige.
Oh, man.
That was fun because that was
that's what made it so much fun is chasing that prestige. And and then when you had a freaking prestige and you lose everything, like crap. But it also made it fun again because it made it tough.
Yeah, like you could prestige and keep one gun. Like you can spend a prestige token on a gun that would carry over, so it would be fully leveled up when you prestiged.
Was the emblem creating the same in Black Ops 2? I feel like it was a bit different.
It was a lot better in 2 than it was in 1.
Yeah.
It was, okay. Yeah, that was so much fun.
I remember
some of the Spidey ones that you made, Brett, were amazing.
Mm-hmm. I'd spend hours just doing it, like not even playing the game. I'd spend hours just creating an emblem. Like,
I'd get home from work and that's all I do.
I know my wife would be like, "You're not even playing?" I'm like, "Yeah, but we're like Team Marvel. I gotta have a Marvel emblem and look."
That's
cool.
right.
I need the people I kill to know a little bit about me.
Yeah.
Well, we have a clan. Our clan Clan Marvel.
Clan Marvel.
Hey, I forgot to hit record. Does that matter?
No, you definitely hit record.
Yeah. I remember hitting got it that we were being recorded.
Yeah, that big screen that flashes above. Cool. Well, I love talking about Call of Duty Mondays, and definitely if we find some more time later in the show, let's talk more about Call of Duty Mondays. But for now, let's play that song. Welcome to the party, nerds, aka the Nerd Rundown podcast, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. I'm your host, Darren Stemple, and with me today are some incredibly special guest hosts. Y'all know Brett D. King from our toy episode a few eps back, but also joining us today is Brett's blood brother, BT, and his best friend, that guy who has submitted the minimum amount of questions to host, Big Morg 3000, Morgan Santo. Welcome, gentlemen.
Howdy, howdy.
We appreciate you joining us today, along with everyone else listening and watching in. And if you want to follow us on social media, we're at the Nerd Rundown on Twitter. You can find our YouTube channel at the Nerd Rundown, and then listen to our podcasts on all the major podcast services. And we have a fantastic show for you all today, where we'll cover the latest on the rundown as always. And then we'll get to our special segment, which is this is our video game themed episode. How they've had an impact on us, the world, how they've changed over the years, and what's coming next in the video game world. And then we'll answer some great nerd questions. But first, let's intro a special guest. Again, y'all know Mr. Brett King. If you want to say hi, Mr. Brett King.
I am very excited to be here.
Good to know. We're excited to have you here. And if you want to get closer to the camera, please do.
Is that how it works?
We just like seeing that smile.
That's how we hear you better.
Yeah. And then let's hear from BT. So when we bring on somebody new on the show, we always like to hear about what kind of nerd you are. And so let's start with you, BT. What's your nerdom all about?
Well, I mean, like all of us, I'm a little bit everywhere. I guess what I've been really into lately, while I still do like to read comics, I've kind of drawn away from Marvel lately. I haven't been reading much of theirs, but instead I've kind of been reading a lot of the smaller publishers and kind of exploring some of those. Some of the things from IDW, Boom, things like that. I've really gotten to enjoy. Recently, I got turned back on to. Surprisingly enough, the Power Rangers comic is nothing short of amazing. Like the Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover was awesome. Like the art in that was really good. And it's a shame that there's a lot of really good artists out there right now working for these smaller studios that we're missing out on. So I've really been enjoying that lately.
It's awesome.
And then, of course, and this is me and Morgan and Brett and all of us probably, we've all been always big horror movie buffs. So if there's something, a B movie on Netflix, Amazon, anything, we're usually trying to watch horror movies. I mean, I think that was our Saturday thing.
Scary movie? Like a scary movie or like a horror movie?
Like the music plays and it's like brown chicken wow.
Like brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown cow.
But yeah, so I'd say horror movies and generally smaller comics I've really been into. Some of the really good ones lately. You can't go wrong with Stepan Sajic with his Death Vigil and things like that. Unnatural was really good, but I've been really digging. I think my favorite one I read last summer was Something is Killing the Children. That really resonated with me.
He's a good teacher too.
But yeah, that's what I'm into. What about, hey, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to say also you're very much into video games too, right?
I mean, I haven't played as much as I used to. I recently got a Switch. I've been playing that. The big ones I've been playing right now were Monster Hunter Rise, which I have been really, really liking. I did play a little bit of some of the like the Zelda games. They've been pretty good, but
cool. All right. Well, and we're missing your face today. He's having a little technical difficulties, so sorry, Mom, that you don't get to see your youngest son's face. And when I say mom, I mean the King's mom. What's your name again? Morgan, Big Morg 3000, greatest 3000. gamer tag of all time. Talk to us a little bit about your nerdum.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely a casual nerd. I know a little bit about everything. You know what I mean? Like enough to be dangerous, but I'm not an expert in anything. Definitely more of a video game nerd over the other stuff. I'm a big Walking Dead nerd. I think I'm one of the only people that still watches the show religiously.
You and Eric.
There we go. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That and I watched the spinoffs. I've watched them all. I've read most. I'm almost done with the comics. But that's zombie stuff is where I really nerd out hard.
Okay.
And video games. So the comics, I like them, but I'm usually not going out buying them, reading them. I usually read what Brett and BT have. I'll go to their house and read comics, read what they have. That's how I catch up. Yeah, they're my comic shop. I think I still have some that BT let me borrow that I swear I'll get them back to you at some point. Yeah,
I'm just saying, all you got to do is read Death Vigil and I'll be happy.
We can make it happen. But
is that where children die? I might need to know more about this.
Yeah. It's on a whole killing children run here. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's it. No, I'd say I'm pretty casual, and I'm excited to be here. Glad awesome. I met the threshold of questions.
Yeah. So all you have to do is submit 11 questions, my favorite number, and then you get to host. We're very excited to have you guys on here, especially with this video game episode coming up today. Like we talked about in the cold open, a lot of time that we've spent together as a group has been online and through playing Call of Duty and other video games. So very excited to talk more video games with you guys. But first, let's get to the rundown because we had some big stuff that came out this week. Starting off with the official Shang-Chi trailer was released, which was really exciting to see. Kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't know it was coming out. Came out Thursday evening. And it wasn't as heavy on the action as maybe the first trailer was. It was more about the story, which is good because we don't know a whole lot about the story, and now we get to see a little bit about it. And then some big reveals were dropped throughout the trailer. So it really focused early on about the 10 rings, which is they're doing it in a bit different way in this movie compared to the comics. In the comics, they're actual rings that you could put on your fingers, but probably because Thanos just had the gauntlet and they don't want to do hand jewelry again. They're more bracelets, which actually I think is cooler because the way that the rings came to Earth was from an alien race. Fin Fang Foom's race brought the rings, and he's a dragon, and it looks like they could be more about they could be more dragon rings than person rings. So Abomination showed up at the end. So let's get you guys' reactions. I'm going to start with you, Morgan, since you're at the top left on my screen. What do you think about the trailer?
No, it had me excited. I'll admit I don't know much of the lore behind this. Coming as more of a, I guess, casual fan, I would say, when it comes to Marvel and the backstory and stuff. I'm pumped. It looked good. Everything about it was good. I didn't mind that there wasn't as much action, but the Abomination. When I saw that, I had to go back because I was like, did I see what I just saw? Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do and what that's going to be about. I'm pumped.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like there's going to be a tournament in Madripoor. We saw Madripoor in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it looks like there's going to be a tournament there. I think there's actually a bracket online of everybody that's already going to be in it. So it'll be really cool to see Shang-Chi, he's actually a very powerful character in the comics, and he could take on just about anybody in the comics by himself. So it'd be cool to see him take on take on the Abomination if that's who he actually gets to take on in there. And the Abomination has been confirmed to show up in the She-Hulk TV show, which is filming right now. So some connective threads there. But what do you think, Brett?
Yeah.
All right.
Great commentary.
I've never been a huge Shang-Chi fan. I always put him kind of on the same level as like Iron Fist or Luke Cage or Jessica Drew. Or Jessica Jones. Like
Jessica
all
Drew too.
Well, Jessica Drew,
Boxcar Kid,
Spider-Woman, but
I
not
said
like
It's like a mix between Jessica Jones and Nancy Drew. I get it.
Anyway. Like I've always put him on that level of like he's never been one of my favorites. I'll watch it. Having the Abomination in it makes me want to see it more because I've always wondered what happened to him. Like the government came down and took him away, and then he was just gone. And I kind of suspected he was on the raft. Whenever they show the raft and when they go there, when Thunderbolt Ross is there and he's running the show, like, and I'm sure BT and I have talked about this absolutely 100 times. Like, if they did a Thunderbolts run, like they would start at the raft and start picking those guys up, and he's one that I know he wasn't on the Thunderbolts, but you could easily put him on the Thunderbolts because it's not like the human being. What was his name, BT? Do you know? Remember?
Like the
Emil Blonsky.
Yeah, Blonsky.
Yeah,
it's not like he was a bad human being. He was just a military person.
Right.
Yeah. Much like the rest of the Thunderbolts that it looks like they could be creating in this show with John Walker.
So I would say if I'm more excited to see what's going on with him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I've never been a huge Shang-Chi. I'll obviously go watch it, but I'm really excited to see what they do.
Brett said obviously.
Oh.
We all have to.
It's one, obviously.
Just water.
Okay. Thank you, Banana and my girls, for my Nerd Rundown cup. It's my obviously drinking cup. Okay. BT, what do you think?
Again, kind of repeating what you guys said, I wasn't real familiar with him from the comics. What I will say is I am, of the new movies coming out, I'm pretty excited for this one just because I've always, even as a kid, I liked Kung Fu movies with like Jackie Chan, Jet Li. Like
everybody was Kung Fu fighting.
Another DMC strike. Perfect.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm hoping they have some, because like, I mean, the Kung Fu movie is definitely kind of a genre that we don't see a ton of. Like, yeah, you have the John Wick, which is that the gun fu type fighting.
Kung Fu.
Gun fu.
That's what they actually called that form of fighting.
Really?
In what was the? Oh crap! Yep, there it is. Your brain just falls right out.
It happens to the best of us here. No, but
the Matrix.
No, but it had Sean Bean.
Sean Bean?
Was it Equalizer or
GoldenEye?
That's what I was thinking was Equalizer, but it's not.
Game of Thrones?
Equilibrium.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Equilibrium was the idea of gun fu, but Kung Fu we haven't seen. I mean, you kind of had like Kung Fu Hustle, which was kind of almost like a Dragon Ball-esque style of fighting with it over the top. So if they do this movie with practical Kung Fu, I think it'll be really, really enjoyable. But if they rely too much on the kind of combat that they do in the Marvel movies where it's really CG, I'm going to be
scissor kicking.
Yeah, I would rather see true Kung Fu that we really missed out in the Netflix Iron Fist show, because it's like the whole Iron Fist show there was barely any Kung Fu, and it was like, I know, that's what I wanted so bad. So if it gives us some solid practical action, I'm going to be very excited.
Yeah,
I agree.
Great point, because what a letdown that show was. We got some great Kung Fu in Daredevil, but good points all around. I like it. It's Marvel does this where they take like a B or C character and they make them into this worldwide phenomenon, and I believe that they'll do this with Shang-Chi, and Kevin Feige's getting to make his Kung Fu movie, which is great. So definitely looking forward to it. We may get another like 1 minute trailer. With Black Widow coming out, they're really starting to amp up the marketing on this, and looking forward to seeing this release. Next on the rundown, we have the final Suicide Squad trailer released, and I know we're a bunch of Marvel guys here, and not necessarily have a whole lot of love for DC, but watching this trailer really got me excited for the movie. What'd you guys think? I'll start with you, BT.
I mean, it's like you said, we're not huge DC fans. There were parts that were funny, like the Starfish joke. It's hard not to chuckle at that kind of nonsense.
Yeah. Especially when he writes it down.
And it is Gunn. And so we should be able to trust Gunn to do
James Gunn.
Yeah, we should be able to trust him to do a kind of a serious but funny movie. The thing I'm looking at is I'm nervous that it's just going to be a skin swap of Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, King Shark, I would hate to see him just become the next DC's version of Groot.
Yeah.
And I will say I like that they brought back the guy from The Killing, Kinnaman.
Joe Kinnaman, yep.
Yeah, Kinnaman.
Yeah,
I like him a lot. Like his voice.
Awesome.
Like if I think someone would maybe narrate my life in my biography, it would be that dude.
Yeah. I didn't know that guy was from Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just found that out this week. What about you, Morgan? What'd you think?
I mean, it's a trailer, so obviously they're meant to excite you. I enjoyed the trailer. I actually have a lot of high hopes for this one. As he said, I'm not a big DC guy. And we know track records with DC movies aren't the best. But I have very high hopes for this. This one big reason, James Gunn. So, and it's also, he did this right around that time. Disney was like, hey, you're out for whatever the reasons.
Yep.
So I think this movie is going to be even better because I think he's putting all he can into it. Because at the time, it was going to be hey, this is what you get for letting me go. Look how great this is. Now I'm going to turn them around.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's a great point. When that was happening, they gave him like carte blanche on anything he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Like even Superman was on the table. He could have done a Superman movie, and he
always wanted to do the Thunderbolts.
Suicide Squad. I'd love for him to do Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did DC's version of the Thunderbolts.
Right.
That's a really good point. What else do you think about it, Brett? Tell us your thoughts.
Well, first of all, Jessica Drew is Spider-Man, so we need to get that off the table. Like, that is a person, and that is who I meant.
We know Jessica Drew is Spider-Woman.
Sure, because we all acted like I didn't know what was going on for 3 seconds. Like I was supposed to say Jessica Jones, even though
I'm pretty sure we knew what you were talking about.
Yeah,
maybe 95% sure.
But anyway, with Suicide Squad, I enjoyed it. It was one of the movies where to be honest, I'm not going to pay to watch it. Like, I'm not going to go to the theater, and I'm not going to put down money and watch it. I'm going to wait till it's free somewhere.
Yeah.
I do that with all DC movies because I feel like I do. I just watched Wonder Woman and Aquaman for the first time here last week because it's DC. Their movies I just don't trust. Like, they are great at making trailers. They are great at making trailers, and you get hyped, and then you go see it, and then it's never very good. I feel like the best one that they've had has been Shazam. Like, that was one where
I like Shazam. Yeah,
that was one where I watched the trailers. It was good. I love that. I love Levi.
Zach Levi.
I love him. Yep, Chuck. And so it was like, okay, I'm gonna go watch this one, and I went and I watched it. I enjoyed it. It was an origin story I wasn't familiar with, so I liked it. But when it comes to DC and their big movies, I just don't trust them. I go and I watch it.
Totally.
Like, at our house, we just got HBO Max, so it's like we've watched Birds of Prey, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman.
I haven't watched Birds of Prey yet. Is that good?
It's not awful.
It's a movie that I wouldn't pay to see.
Yeah.
I need to watch it. And I think we're all on the same page here. DC needs to earn a little bit more of our trust before we go to the theater.
They put the cart ahead of the horse. Like
big time.
They tried to make Justice League way before they established the characters.
Yeah.
Like, trying to keep up with Marvel.
Yeah. And when they did what Marvel does, they made Shazam. I mean, Shazam feels like a Marvel movie, in my opinion.
And what's funny is it's like when you look at DC WB with the cartoons, they knock it out of the park with those cartoons.
Yeah. They do well with the
every
shows.
Time. It's like, how can you be so good at this thing over here, but so bad over here? Like, can they just walk across the hall and be like, "Hey guys, you need a hand?"
They do really well with the shows. Like, I even enjoy that Harley Quinn show that's on HBO. I don't know if you've seen that cartoon. It's mature. I mean, it's definitely not for kids, but like, that's fantastic. Even that
and a topic of conversation lately with a certain Batman topic. Penny loves the DC Superhero Girls show on Netflix, and I watch it with her because I'm like, this is really, really good. This is like better than most of their movies. So, we're all on the same page. I probably will go see this in the theaters. James Gunn has earned enough cred with me for that, and I think this movie looks fantastic. Every trailer that's come out has been really good. I'll give it a shot. I mean, I'm right there with you though, as far as
it's hard to say because with Harley Quinn, she's a good character, but sometimes I feel like they try and make her as Deadpool as they can.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Well,
you by herself. Like, I mean, she was created in the animated series. She wasn't a comic book character. She was in the animated series that then came to comics.
The 90s Batman animated series, in case you guys are wondering out there.
It's the only one. They know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's the only one.
There's Batman, Bold and Brave. It's awful. It exists.
Like a soap opera.
Very awful. All right. Well, let's move on. We don't want to talk too much DC here. So funny enough, the next rundown is DC related, but it is related in the sense of Brett and I's Thursday Nights in the Army. Smallville animated TV show was announced, and it's bringing back Tom Welling as Clark Kent. Very, very excited to learn more about this. I'll start with you, Brett, because you are my Smallville connection. So what do you think?
I wish the walk and roll was up here. Like that was our thing. Like we always got walk and roll, which was the Chinese place called Walk and Roll, which is the best thing for a Chinese delivery ever. If they can get the Walk and Roll chick to deliver it, that would be even better.
It was like Thursday we're at work and we're waiting for us to get released off work, and we get back to the B's. We get out of our BDUs and we order. I think Smallville came on at like 7 or 8. We get our walk and roll. We get General Tso's chicken, fried rice, some
4 guys
wontons.
4 guys. How you doing? Hey. We're brothers.
It's like almost doing the stepbrother where you're like, hey there, lady, but Smallville was so freaking good. I stopped the first 5.5 seasons. I think I stopped watching it after the first Justice League episode in the 6th season, like halfway through that season.
I think that was about when I stopped.
And I've always told myself to go back and pick it back up, but I haven't been able to do that. But those first 5.5, 6 seasons were phenomenal. So
the first season I thought was amazing. It was like they followed the same formula every time. Like
Monster of the Week formula.
Monster of the Week. It was like kryptonite is found. Person finds kryptonite. Person becomes villain. Tom Welling shows up. It was awesome.
It really started expanding when they after the first season they started expanding the story. They started going to Smallville or started going to Metropolis and bringing in new characters, and there's some really. I mean, it's like everybody on that show was so good looking. I feel like they never had any ugly people. But they had one girl that Brett and I were really, really into it. Do you remember who that was? What her name was?
Allison Mack.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Yeah, Chloe was there from the beginning, but there was.
I think I got to because that's just.
But remember when Clark had the red?
Oh
kryptonite?
yeah. I still remember that song.
She like bit on the cup. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't forget that. Yeah. It had that one song in that episode. It was One Thing by I forget who it's by. That's the name of the song, One Thing. Just for one thing, and then
just waiting for you to sing it. Just sing it.
Finger 11.
Can you sing it?
I know, Brett's trying to get us in trouble. He keeps singing songs we don't have licenses to.
It was Finger 11 who did One Thing.
Yeah, it was Finger 11.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Finger 11. Okay, yeah. So very excited. They're bringing Michael Rosenbaum back as Lex Luthor. So
he was the best.
Yeah, he was so good.
Yeah, I liked him more than half the characters in that show. Like he was the best. Like watching his slow burn downhill, you felt bad that it's like you knew his ending before he did.
Yeah, that's a really good point. He was so empathetic. You know, he first season it was like he was really trying to do well, but his inner demons just always brought him back to the dark side. So what were you going to say, BT?
It was tough watching that season because it was like he was a good person. It's like if Clark would have just told him the truth, I think they could have been best friends still. But it was the constant lying that just slowly chiseled away and turned him into who he was. That and his dad lying all.
Yeah, that
beautiful hair.
That didn't help. Oh, Lionel, yeah, it was like curly.
It was beautiful.
Morgan, did you watch Smallville? You haven't.
I have no opinions.
You have never watched Smallville?
Never watched it. It's funny because Deanna likes Smallville. Like she watched it, which is surprising because she
Why
could
would you
care
admit
less.
this?
But no, I've never watched
National TV.
Never.
You're saying stupid things like this. We'll bring you on to one show.
You're going to be on the World Wide Web.
Probably do instead of watching that. I'd probably play like video games or something. Bring it back to the video.
Your
game.
son is going to watch this, Morgan.
www is World Wide Web. And
what is this?
I don't even know how to continue on now.
I haven't hit the record button, so if you want, I can go back.
Edit me out of the whole episode.
So this is in development. We don't know when it's coming, but definitely looking forward to it. When this comes out, I might have to now go back and watch those final seasons of Smallville to see how it picks up from there. But moving on, yeah. Actually, as soon as we stop this podcast, Morgan, season 1, episode 1. Next on the rundown, we move into comics news with our Spider-Man connoisseur here, Brett King. We've got a new creative team announced for Amazing Spider-Man with a new Spidey even. So let's turn it over to Mr. Brett King and have you tell us what you think.
Well, I've definitely enjoyed this run. It's not popular, but I liked Dan Slott when he did his run. Mm-hmm. I liked Nick Spencer. I think has been very good. I was
going to say who's the current Nick Spencer?
He's the current one, and
how long has he been on it?
75. They're giving him 75
issues.
He's been on it maybe 2 years.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years. He did really good at and I think that was his first issue was back to basics. Like he promised to bring it back to basics, and he did. Like he had him, he got Peter Parker back with Mary Jane, which was was always the goal for Peter Parker. So it was good to see that. He had him fighting some very old villains. Like there was Mysterio's back. He had Rhino. There was a lot of really good. His gallery, has always been filled, and he had a lot of very good fights with some old school villains. But then he did other things like bring back Harry Osborn, because Harry Osborn had died, and he brought him back as Kindred. and it's been a good run. The direction they're going, I am absolutely going to give it a chance. It was not popular when they brought back Superior Spider-Man, which was Doc Ock in Spider-Man. But that's one of my favorite runs. This is one of my favorite action figures, and Dan Slott's signed it for me, and that was Superior Spider-Man. And
such a great suit too.
Oh, I love that suit.
Yeah. But
they're gonna have Ben Reilly kind of take over.
And who's Ben Reilly?
Ben Reilly is a clone, which is it was probably you could say the Clone Saga or One More Day is like the two most hated runs of Spider-Man, and One More Day was Dan Slott, I believe.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to be fair,
One More Day is where
they undo everything. He makes
they undo like
everything.
Yeah.
Aunt May knew who he was, and it's been undone. It wasn't
everybody.
Aunt May's life in exchange for his love.
Yeah, he had to trade because it happened right after the Civil War.
Right.
Tony talked
when he revealed himself.
Yeah, and so basically everybody forgot. Like Mephisto everybody didn't know who he was, which actually just came back in the comics because
it was Mephisto who wiped everybody's minds.
Yep, he made a deal with Mephisto. It just came back in the comics because Felicia, the Black Cat, is piecing together. She can't remember who Spider-Man was, but she knew she loved him, and she had memories of them being lovers and doing things together. But she couldn't. She was very, very, very upset that she couldn't remember who he was, and she knew something happened, and so eventually. It wasn't even that long. Like she didn't have to do very much. It's Felicia. Like, I mean, you look at her and you're like, yeah, I'll tell you who I am.
Yeah.
And he reveals it back to her as a sign of good faith, because she was going down that path of villainhood. But anyway, back to the actual point.
We could talk Black Cat if you want.
I'm definitely going to read the new Ben Reilly one. He's a clone. Dan Slott had actually written the clones back in during what was the run, BT? The clone conspiracy.
Yeah, clone conspiracy. Yeah, because they brought back like Kingpin's wife and stuff.
Yep. It was where basically they brought back the Jackal, who was the creator of.
You were talking about that last time you were on. Yeah.
And. Is he the creator of BT?
The Jackal?
Yeah, he was the clone.
Wasn't Kane the?
Yeah, Kane was the clone, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Ben Reilly is
first time for everything.
Yeah, I guess. They're bringing on Ben Reilly as Spider-Man, as the Amazing Spider-Man, which is a big.
He's a clone of who?
He's a clone of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Granted, back during the Clone Saga in the 90s, they tried to hint that actually Peter Parker was the clone all along.
Yeah, they did.
It was Peter all along.
Which is why it was hated. But he's going to come on as the Amazing Spider-Man, which, as long as they don't, and I don't think they will, as long as they don't drop Peter Parker out of it, because he's Spider-Man. You can't make Spider-Man without Peter Parker.
Right.
And but it would be cool to see what happens to Peter Parker when he's given the opportunity to be just Peter Parker, and he can have
a life,
another Spider-Man doing the Amazing Spider-Man thing. So, I mean, that will be interesting. The writer, what's her name, BT?
Kelly Thompson.
I'll let BT speak about her. I don't know much about her. I'll let BT talk about her. Go ahead, BT.
Okay.
So I would say Kelly Thompson, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show with my fandom, I've kind of drawn away from Marvel Comics, but there's still a few that I still get. And her run she had 2 runs. She did Rogue and Gambit first, which was like a mini series of I think 7 or 8 issues, which was really great.
Cool.
And then she got put on Mr. and Mrs. X, which was, again, Rogue and Gambit, but it was them now married and going on adventures. And when it comes to X-Men, I know she is fantastic. She understood Rogue and Gambit. She knew their dynamic. She knew their jokes. She knew their pitfalls and their hard times. And she does an amazing job with what I would consider respecting the history while still creating new content. On the flip side, she also does West Coast Avengers, which is kind of a smorgasbord type group that's meant to appeal to new readers and comic readers. And when she does that, I'm not a huge fan, but she has talent. I would say she's in the top 3 of what I consider good writers at Marvel right now.
That's pretty big praise.
Well, it's amazing.
Real quick on.
It's amazing, Spider. You got to put the best on it.
You got to put the best.
You do.
Yeah.
Like if I was in charge of Marvel and I broke them up into divisions, I would have taken her and said, you are the oversight of anyone who writes an X-Men book because you at least respect it and love it. I would have made her an X-Men girl, but if she puts that much into her job, I think she can probably do Spidey too.
How did Rogue and Gambit do stuff?
How did they do stuff?
If they're married, they're married.
Talk.
That's just called protection.
And a woman love each other.
It has 99% efficiency, what they need to make this work.
This has to be some really strong protection.
It was actually really cool in her run because at one point the two of them switched powers and they had to fight like that against a huge army of clones of themselves, which is really neat.
Oh, that sounds awesome. They should make like an animated movie out of it. That sounds amazing. Cool. Okay. Well, sad to see Nick Spencer's run ending, right, Brett? Because you've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it. I don't know what he's doing next.
Yeah. But excited to see where Kelly Thompson takes the new Spider-Man story. So that's it for the rundown. Short rundown this week. Some big trailers came out. Looking forward to, again, Shang-Chi and Suicide Squad, Smallville. And so looking forward to talking video games now with you guys. Let's get to the video game segment. And I always like to start the special segment off with talking about how video games have impacted us personally. So I'm going to start with you, Brett.
Oh,
okay.
How they've impacted me personally? I got in a lot of trouble as a like I still feel like if it's daylight outside, I probably shouldn't be playing.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
I remember getting the old Nintendo, the NES, 16-bit or 8-bit. 8-bit Nintendo, and I have no idea why, but our Nintendo sat on a TV stand on a piece of aluminum foil. I have no idea why it was on aluminum. And we used to
How do you remember that?
Well, I'll tell you why I remember it. We were trying to beat Mario Brothers 3, which you didn't have save spots. Like you had one sitting. You had to beat every game in one sitting. And so we used to take that aluminum foil and like bend it up over the little red light so Dad wouldn't know we left it. Dad's watching. He figured it out.
Like, you jerk! You owe me $7.25.
Like
how long did it take him to realize?
Probably not long because it's aluminum foil and it just reflected the light back.
yeah. I was gonna say
it just reflected it back onto the NES. So one night when he walked in there
in the dark,
like illuminates the whole room. And he just turned it off, and then we got in trouble for that. But we were trying to we did beat Mario 3. I mean,
at some point.
But video games is something that we love. I mean, they're some of the greatest stories. I mean, Morgan turned us on to The Last of Us, and that is the best storyline for a game I think I've ever played. I don't know how you beat that. I know.
Honestly, when you asked that question, Morgan, and then you said Last of Us, I was like, oh, because that's my answer. And I remember playing that game in the dark, and there are some moments in that game you're just like, ah! Or like, what the is going on? You know, and then at the end, it's just that story. Immediately we all talk about it as, okay, when can they make this into a movie?
We had a very long thread on our texts about who
would play. Yeah.
Who would play who? Yeah.
Who would play Joel.
When did the game come out, Morgan? Do you remember what year it came out?
2012, 11,
2000 something.
Because
no, it was around that.
Because now they are making it into a HBO TV. 2013.
No, it was.
So, I'm looking right at it, man.
Yeah, you know that's what it was, because I remember when I got it. 2013 is right around that, because I remember getting it and I just stayed up all night just playing the game, and everybody in my family and my wife's family was coming over the next day for a Father's Day get together where we were going to announce we're having a baby. So I remember staying up all night playing. My wife was obviously upset with me because I was
obviously
tired today.
Obviously.
Yeah. But because I was visibly tired all day.
Morgan's just dead.
Yeah, I'm just dead. And like, hey,
we're having a baby.
Yeah, but no, that was a big game.
2013, because that's when Banana and I just moved into this house, and so in my man cave, it was like the first big game I played in my movie theater over here, and I was like, I can't stop playing this game. So great callback to that game. BT, talk to me about how video games have impacted you.
For me, I think, and Brett can attest to this as well. At our house where we lived, like, Dad really didn't support the whole gamer lifestyle. Like, he never bought us systems.
Really?
Like, the first NES, I think Grandma gave us.
She did for Christmas.
And then after that, all the systems we got after that, we kind of had to claw and dig to get the systems we wanted. Like, remember the time when we thought we were finally going to get a PlayStation by trading in our Sega and like 8 games? Like, it was this place that like advertised it in a newspaper. I remember Dad driving us to somewhere up in the Twin Cities. It was a long drive. And we were so excited. We get there and we give our stuff to the guy, and he's like, yeah, that's my brother's location. Look at my store. It's empty. I can't do this deal. And like, we were soul crushed. And that's how it's always been with us in gaming systems. I mean, we've always kind of had to dig for, we've always been kind of behind on the ball, I think, with getting systems. Like, we played our NES well into the mid 90s, I think.
Yeah.
But also the thing I think that video games impact us a lot with is at our house, we lived in the middle of nowhere. Dad canceled Dish TV at one point in our life because we weren't listening very well. We really had no TV. Like, yeah, we had an antenna, so you could get like 3 stations. And so once that happened, I think we started pushing more into video games and playing them more because there was nothing else to do. And I think that's when we started to develop our love for like RPGs, because they had story and gameplay to it. And I think that was our form of entertainment, because we didn't have TV like other kids. Yeah. And so that's where I think our love of that genre came from. And it's really amazing our love for it survived, considering we didn't own a memory card for our PlayStation forever. we
could get out of Midgar without saving. Like,
gosh.
Like the new Final Fantasy remake game, we used to do that on the PS1 without ever saving. That segment, we could do it. Wow. And then we get out of Midgard and be like, I'm killing this stupid snake. And then we'd realize, oh, I wish I had a memory card.
I forgot about memory cards.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
But yeah, it's always been a huge part of my life. I mean, I remember, and this is going to sound foreign to any young kids around, but we used to have these things called study halls in school.
Something is killing kids. So
and I would make sure to get all my homework done in study hall, so when I got home, I could just play games and not stop.
I remember I had NHL 97. I got it for my birthday, and I loved it so much. And I wasn't the best student, maybe because I played video games all the time. But NHL, I remember coming home playing in it with a report card that I knew my parents were going to be happy about, which is just about every report card ever that I brought home. But I remember talking to my buddy on the phone, Eric Norlander, and being like, I know I've got 2 hours to play NHL 97 before my parents take this away from me because this report card is not going to be something that they can allow me to have a Sega Genesis anymore in my room. But yeah, I get that. That resonated really well with me, Brett, when you said, if I still feel like I shouldn't be playing video games when it's daytime out. I mean, we grew up in the time of where video games were.
Grew up in the time of parents. Where you couldn't be like, Mom, I'm playing Fortnite, leave me alone. And she would, like,
a magical time when I had to Fortnite, let myself in the house and be alone.
Yeah.
A time when your parents had paused the game, you actually could because it wasn't something online and live at the moment.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And we grew up in the time where video games were starting to really expand and get to be popular. And I mean, nowadays kids that's what they want to do for a living. And the way I never would have thought that you could play video games for a living. So it's really cool to kind of look back at how video games have impacted us.
It's funny to think, like, you hear these parents talking, they're like, yeah, my kid asked for Minecraft bucks, or like, what's the V-Bucks. It's like, that's crazy to think about that. That's what kids like. We would ask for like a game. They're just asking for money to buy microtransactions now.
Oh yeah, microtransactions. We'll get to that. So let's talk about, and then we can actually, that's a good segue, because let's talk about how video games have impacted the world. And we have a really good nerd question about video game adaptations in movies. So let's not go there yet, but let's talk about their impact on the world. So let's start with you, Morgan. You're the big Morg 3000 video game nerd here.
3000. I mean, as far as video games impact on the world, geez, I mean, I feel like there's a lot there. I would say now more than ever, I think it is more socially acceptable to play games, and people don't, like, I feel like back in the day playing games, when you played games a lot, it always accompanied that nerd was bad. Yeah. And you were losing, you just play games, blah blah. Whereas now everybody does. I mean, everybody's played video games at some point. A lot of people still play it. We still play. You see, and with it being everything online, it's the gaming community, I think, could be brought together. There is some toxicity with it, of course, like anything. But when you can play with anyone in the world, like, it's just amazing. It makes it so much better. It's so much more interesting. You don't have to be in the same room as somebody to play Mario Kart or or something like that. Now you can just do it anywhere, and it's also the art of it. I think it has a big impact now. I love movies, I love TV shows, but playing a game is you're playing that movie. You're more invested into it, which I think makes the entertainment industry, they need to step it up a notch, because there's certain things like The Last of Us where, I could play that any day, anytime. I could replay it. I played it. It's one of the few games that I think I played it from start to finish like 7 times, because it's just such a great story that, there's just something about it that I think I think it's a perfect representation of how video games have evolved over time. Because you think about, Mortal Kombat back in the 90s, an incredibly popular game. All it is 2 dudes fighting each other, that's it. And that was like the peak of gaming back then. And now you look at, they're coming out with Mortal Kombat games still, and how different they are from the original version. There's actually like story to that. So yeah, and it changed. What we when you think of Mortal Kombat, how it's playing that, they thought you were gonna become a killer, how dangerous it was.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. and like the games you have today are just nothing compared to what that was as far as violence or whatever it is.
I mean, that was that game was the reason for the rating system.
Yeah, the rating system.
Yeah. That's a good point. And now if a game's not open world, I almost have very little interest in playing it now. That I should say.
No.
I feel like
I should say. Let me back that up because
wrong. No, you're wrong.
Because I know.
Just
Let me
like
back that up.
Watchmen, you're wrong.
I'm definitely not wrong on Watchmen. I will die on that hill.
You will die on that hill all by yourself.
The what's it called? The Last Jedi. That's not considered open world, right?
No.
But it has an open world feel to it.
It has elements of it.
Yeah. If it's not at least that, I don't have a whole lot of interest in playing it, but that shows how that's another good show about how games have evolved over time.
I think open world is a crutch. Like, I think sometimes they're like, oh, it's open world.
Go make your own fun.
Yeah, go make your own fun. It's like, no, I'm paying you.
Right.
Like,
Make my fun. Make it.
And open world's tough.
Make me a balloon clown.
I get lost in the open world, in the sense of like I got Red Dead Redemption 2 because obviously huge. But I'll be playing, then like I'll just stop and I'll be like, I've just been fishing for 4 hours. Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I fishing for 4 hours and not doing anything? Like, so funny enough, I actually never beat the story of the game because I just get too distracted doing everything else and looking at everything and all this.
Shadows of
open
Mordor.
World.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying open world is bad. I'm just saying.
No, I didn't say you said it was bad, but that's considered an open world game, right? Spider-Man. Yeah.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
What were you saying about? Because that's a great game, Shadows of Mordor.
That's one where it was open world, and I have probably played through that, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, and I've never beaten it because I get to the very end and it's like I get so caught up in like
raising orcs
and like I'm like, this dude killed me. I've got to like track down his children, his wife.
Yes.
His grandparents.
I'm gonna the bloodline.
I'm gonna take his bloodline. World. And I just never beat it. Like, it's a great game. I love that game.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the reasons we bought. Well, actually, you got our PS4 for us. I remember you sending it to us. But it was one of the first games I got on it because the PS3 version was unplayable with the amount of loading.
Yeah, it was so bad. Like when Brett was at work or something, I literally just took his copy of the PS3, went and traded it in, put more money in, and got the 4 version. And it was like, this game is way different.
Yeah. That was a good game. That was our last Lord of the Rings game we've gotten, right?
No, they had one after it. It was Shadow of War.
Oh, I don't think I ever played that.
It was a sequel to it, right?
Yeah.
Was it as good?
I never played it because I didn't beat the first one.
It was a lot more in depth. Like, you could actually raise your own armies and get different types of orcs, and it was kind of more like taking over castles and stuff, if I remember.
I have to go back and play that.
I almost bought a copy a while ago. It was like $5 at a used store. It's cheap now. You can get it. I think it was even a free PS Plus game at one point, I think.
Yeah, I think we have it free, don't we, BT?
Yeah, I think we do.
Huh. Speaking of Lord of the Rings games, have you seen the Gollum game coming out?
Yeah, I've seen things about it.
Who wants to play as Gollum? Are you guys going to play this game?
I didn't even heard of it.
I think I will.
Game.
It
really?
The little bit I've seen, like,
you can probably fish in that too, Morgan. Like he's
you just jump in and eat
hobbits for cooking your food.
Yeah. Stupid hobbits.
Bang fish on rocks.
Yeah. I can't constantly say stupid hobbits is in the game. I don't know.
Hobbits is.
But no, I think it'll be interesting. Like, I don't think there's too much about it right now. Obviously COVID just.
Oh, you said it.
Screwed up the
drink.
This coffee's hot too.
Wow, it's really hard not to say that.
Tell me about it.
COVID, did screw up some things, and a lot of stuff got delayed.
What was
COVID? Never heard of it. So I'm excited to see more about it. What exactly you're doing as Gollum in it?
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting trailer, and I'm like, I'm going to want to get a big sword in my hand, and I'm going to want to chop some orcs in half. Sorry. That's what I want out of my Lord of the Rings games. So I remember in the army, Brett, we played the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, and then the Return of the King game. And those games switched back and forth at points where you were Frodo and Sam. And it was just like, when you switch to Frodo and Sam, I was like, I just got to hurry up and get past this part so I can get back to Gandalf, So
it's like when you have to play a sneaking mission, when you have to be like Mary Jane Watson or sneak through the museum or something. And
I like that part of the game though.
Well, tell me more about why you liked that part of the game, Brett, because that's a good topic, is the Spider-Man PS4 game, because it's a big game, obviously. Dang it! I said obviously.
Hot. Holy cow! I'm gonna run out of this giant cup.
I know. I'm gonna have to refill my cup.
I liked it. I felt like Spider-Man. I felt like the PS4 Spider-Man did a really good job of choosing when to break from Peter Parker. And while her missions were kind of sneaky. Like, I really liked how, like with the museum, it was like you were sneaking, but you had Spider-Man on your side, and you could have him, like,
I did like that,
come out of the ceiling and take guys away. And I like that aspect. But I like the characters in that game, because it was fun, because when they Insomnia, right?
Yeah, Insomniac.
Yeah, Insomniac.
When they said they were doing one, it was like they were very open and saying, it's going to be a different Peter Parker. It's going to be Peter Parker, but it's from a different world, like a different dimension.
Yep.
And we're going to make a story, have an open mind and run with it. And I thought that, like, them just being open and saying, hey, we're going to do something a little different, give it a try. Like, I can trust it if they don't try to hide the fact that they're doing something. And he was a great version of Peter Parker. That is by far probably the best Spider-Man game by far.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that, like, I played every Spider-Man game, and that one was good, and it was a little different. But it was fun seeing the characters that you loved in a little bit of different light. And Mary Jane was a very good.
I liked a different take on Mary Jane. She wasn't necessarily like the damsel in distress.
Right.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, I definitely like to actually have her right here. Boom. I know you can't see that, but that's Mary Jane.
Yeah, thanks.
The PS4 Mary Jane?
Yeah, the PS4 Mary Jane. I liked her in that she wasn't a model.
Yeah.
Like, she was very, like, they made her to be pretty in the game, but it wasn't like they made her like the drop dead gorgeous that the comics and movies have always tried to do. Like, they made her
simple girl next door.
Normal.
Yeah, they made her a human instead of something that is up here.
And then the villains in that game. Talk about the villains.
They've started talking about the villains in the next game, which they've started. Obviously Doc Ock is my favorite. Like, he's my favorite by
obviously.
Far. Oh, shoot.
Shoot.
Here, I've got to refill my cup.
But he's my favorite, and so he was a very good character in that. It was kind of like watching The Shining. It's just a slow burn. Like, you see a good person go down for one. How do you say it? Like, I wouldn't even be a flaw. Like, he didn't like Norman Osborn, and that little bit of hatred was
human. There was a human element to him.
Yeah, it was just enough of a thread to pull on to make him a villain.
Yeah. And then and you could easily resonate with his snap.
Yeah. And I like how they did the subtle stuff of him snapping essentially, like when you go, if you look around the lab as you're playing the game, like you start to see like he's got drawings of the raft, and like you can see he's working on this plan all the time in the background that you just like that's what I really like. They did a fantastic job with all of it. And
that go ahead.
I was gonna say I like that they also, other than Doc Ock's kind of like origin story, if you want to call it that, they just expect you to know who these people are because you do at this point. Like, we don't need to see everybody introduced again. Like how they did with, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Like, we don't need to see, everybody knows Spider-Man. They know how he came to be. So, it was just, that is just one of the best games.
And that scene where he fights the Sinister Six and he gets his ass beat.
Oh yeah.
It is. You like feel he's just getting.
I don't want to
crunched.
Lose my man card, but I tear up.
Like that end scene, that's hard not to cry.
And then the death at the end. I think I talked about this recently on the podcast, but I've replayed it again recently, and I forgot that happened, and it hit me even harder this time than it did the first time.
Like him sitting there with like the antidote like inches away from that IV bag and just screaming is like, it's too much. It pulls.
It's so good.
It is
so good. Have you guys played Miles Morales?
I haven't, and that's only because it's on the
5.
I have it for the PS4, but I'm just gonna wait till the 5.
I played it. I got it for the PS4, and then like the version I got just comes with like an automatic upgrade to the PS5 version.
Oh, cool.
So I played it twice, and does it
feel different?
It does. Like he's got a different flow to him. Now it's nice that it's like, hey, if you're playing this one, you played the Spider-Man 4, so we don't need to go through all the crap again. Like the controls, what you're doing. They add his Venom blast and it's like it was the same, but it was different. Now, it probably didn't need to be its own game. It could have been like a DLC because it is shorter. It didn't take me long to get through it. But even that, the story of that, I mean, at the end, I was just like Spider-Man 4. I was like tearing up. I won't say anything. I'm just saying I was tearing up. And they do a really good job in it. I was really impressed how they did it.
They just started talking about the next one. With,
for Peter or for Miles?
Well, they're talking about it being, and you just stopped me from saying the O word, so good work. They're talking about it being more of a co-op kind of game where you could be one or the other or play with a friend.
Oh, cool.
Which would be very cool to have two people running around as Spider-Man.
They did need to come up with some serious villains for that if they're teaming up.
Well, it's going to be the big one is going to be Norman Osborn, because you saw at the end of that one where he was creating Venom.
Yep.
And so it's going to be Norman and Harry, and this is the universe where I'm assuming Harry is going to be Venom.
Peter didn't find out that Harry's. They think he's gone.
Right. They still don't know.
Yeah. They still don't know.
In Europe or something.
They think he's in Europe, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That reveal at the end of that also was pretty cool.
Yeah,
wasn't it Mary Jane like leaving a voicemail or something? Yeah.
Yeah, you got to play with Miles Morales.
Okay.
Yeah. So
just do it.
I'm gonna get a PS5 soon, and I'll play Miles Morales on the PS5, and looking forward to it.
That game does a very good job of bringing Miles in and making him someone you actually care about. I mean, right now with comics. I gotta choose my words carefully here, but like they're doing a lot of things where they bring in characters and they don't want to put in the work to make you actually love them. Like they want to bring in a character.
They just expect you to love them
and put them in a role that you already love. Like
it'd be like if I took Morgan's shirt off and put it on and be like, "You gotta love me like Morgan, Deanna."
Yeah, like Riri Williams.
Okay. Wow.
Like
it's the shirt, it's not the man.
That's they tried replacing Tony.
We haven't been listening to you, Brett. We've just been talking about Morgan's shirt.
I'm just gonna drive on. And, it's not like I'm not recording this anymore.
I'm just gonna have Eric cut it out anyway.
Riri Williams took over for Tony Stark, and it was like they just put her in the role.
Yeah,
and they wanted us to love her, and I hate that character because they just they just
They didn't put the work in.
Yeah, they didn't put the work in. But Miles was like, they put the work in to make him his own stand-alone character.
Totally. And Into the Spider-Verse, I didn't watch that at first. And when I finally did, I was like, what took me so long? Because A,
it's amazing.
It's a Spider-Man movie. B, I don't know why I was judging Miles Morales hard. Maybe it's just my love for Peter Parker. I didn't want to see him replaced, but they do a great job in that movie at making every Spider-Man important. So let's talk about. Go ahead, BT.
Because you never asked me the question about video games that have changed the world.
Yeah, no, we're moving on. No, I'm joking.
I just want to bring up one quick point about that.
I would love to hear your point, BT, about how video games have changed the world.
So go ahead. I just want to bring this quick one up. It's funny the way it's evolved.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip it.
That's fine. It's funny because like at one point to see video game footage on TV, you would have to go out and buy like a VHS or something like those old like strategy guides on VHS. And then when me and Morgan were in high school, we started getting things like Tech TV and G4. When they merged together, became G4 Tech TV. And at a certain point, like Entertainment, the company, they bought the brand. And once they bought that company, they came out and said, there is no market for video game TV and watchability. And that's why they started syndicating things like Lost and Cops and Campus PD and things like that, because they said there is no market for this. This isn't realistic. And then fast forward to today where we have stuff like Twitch and YouTube gamers and Let's Plays where these people are making bank from just streaming and playing video games and commentary, which is what G4 was doing. And you have to laugh at for being so short-sighted and thinking this wasn't marketable, because it is. Totally.
Was G4, was it Olivia Munn in the early days?
Olivia Munn was on that with Attack of the Show, but to be fair, the original show was The Screensavers with Kevin Rose, who went on to create Dig, Alex Albrecht, Leo Laporte, who's from Canada, who went on to have a great career. And he was one of the forerunners in creating podcasts back in the day. It was This Week in Tech, Twit. I know. So those people went on to do great things because they knew there was a market, while itself was too short-sighted and cut them all.
Right.
Yeah. Attack of the Show. That's it. Yeah. Great point, BT. Great point. Because I remember back in the day that G4 was, I mean, if it was alive today, it'd be one of the biggest things around, because
they had a show called Arena where they brought in teams to compete in things like Battlefront and things like that. And now esports is a thing as much as and it just showed
you get college scholarships now for esports.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this.
You get a scholarship for that.
Yeah. 2K, I mean, 2K is NBA 2K is a huge online community, and their esports has grown considerably. In fact, they have massive leagues, just like Madden 2. Madden's huge online, but 2K is really taken over the sports side of the house on video games. So anyway, great point, BT. Yeah, sorry I missed. I didn't mean to skip you. We got really into the Spider-Man talk and got off topic, but great point. So let's talk a bit about what's next in video games. Some of the consoles coming out or that have come out recently. How consoles have changed over the years. I'm going to start with you, BT, so I'm going to make sure I don't skip you. We're obvious. Oh, dang it.
I'm out. I have nothing to refill with.
You have to just pretend to drink.
Just yell D, water.
Glug, 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 glug.
Mom, meatloaf.
I never know what she's doing in there. Probably poison.
We're all big PlayStation guys here, but talk about more than just that, BT.
In terms of where we're going, some of the things that I'm pretty excited about, like I said, E3 just happened. And so we saw a lot of new stuff there. Granted, I will say the footage that we saw, I was real disappointed with what we saw. Yeah. Like me and Brett watched the Capcom presentation, and I got to tell you, I was so disappointed in that. Like, they spent so much time showing us not an Evil 8 for a game that's already been out. Which, yes, Resident Evil 8 is known as not an Evil 8 to me now. It's just going to happen, Morgan. Sorry.
It's a good game.
We'll pretend like you don't have an opinion.
But it's not Resident Evil.
But like at their trade show, they showed like Resident Evil 8, Monster Hunter Rise, which are 2 games already out. And then they showed like, it's not Sherlock Holmes, it's Herlock Sholmes. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, what were you bringing? Like,
you play a lawyer. You're a lawyer in the game.
That's like I realize there's a big market for that Ace Attorney game. People like that a lot. Yeah. But this is a show where you're supposed to get people pumped up. We've been locked in a house for the last year. Get us pumped up about something.
Yeah.
And then they show us things we've already had.
That have already been released.
I know a lot of people are real upset that like E3 got canceled last year and basically canceled this year because of COVID. And yeah, it sucks you're losing a trade show, but I think this evolution of it is a lot better because now when you're watching these shows, they're saying things now where it used to be if you wanted to play a demo of this game, you had to be at San Diego. Where now they're saying the demo's out now as of this time on the PlayStation Network or on the Xbox Live or whatever, things like that. So I think it's better for the consumer that those things go away because we're getting access to stuff that, I mean, what's the realistic chances of us going to San Diego Comic-Con?
Right. Probably never.
It is a dream of mine.
Some of the games, I mean, there still was a few games I was excited for. Tales of Arise looked really, really good. It looked a lot like, I mean, it's from Bandai, so it's kind of got that anime look to it. But I think the big one that's going to be changing the atmosphere is that new Batman game, Arkham Knights. I think that one is going to be a game changer.
Is that the one where it's not Batman, it's the rest of the Batman group?
Yeah, it's the Batman family, and it's meant to be 4-player co-op amongst all of them, so you can have friends play all those roles, which is kind of what you guys were just talking about with that new Spider-Man game where one of you could play Spider-Man, one of you could play Miles. I think we might be seeing a comeback to that idea of, because that's the problem with online multiplayer games.
Ultimate Alliance.
That's the problem I find with online multiplayer games anymore. They're all versus, and there's very few co-op multiplayer games that I think where you're not fighting other humans.
Yeah.
Where I would like to play an Arkham game where all of us get together as a member of the Bat family and we go and take on a crime family. Like, I feel like we're missing that. And like, that's what Brett just said. It's Marvel Ultimate Alliance finally coming back because we all love that game. And yes, we own the copy on the Switch for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, but not all of us did.
Yeah.
So it's going to be nice to see that come back.
I want to get to our favorite memories of games, but let's focus on what's next. So great point, BT. I like that. Because I definitely want to get to Ultimate Alliance and the nostalgic feel for that. But Morgan, what do you think is next also in video games? Great point, BT.
Yeah, no, I'm with BT on this one I think we're going to start seeing more of that co-op. I mean, battle royales are huge still, obviously. I mean,
obviously.
Doesn't have a drink, so he says it.
But no, I mean, battle royales, I think, will never go away. They're very popular. I play Warzone all the time.
Yeah.
I love it. The new Battlefield 2042, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
That's coming out with they're going to have their battle royale, and it looks like it's going to be a game changer. They're putting in like real weather events, like tornadoes, hurricanes can happen, it will snow. Like it looks pretty intense. But I think we're seeing more of a push towards the online. Like I just played with Carson, my son. It Takes Two. It's a co-op game,
go right,
and you can only play it co-op. It's the only way. Oh wait, again, here another strike because he's singing a song. But
I think we're not monetized yet.
Yeah. But
wait,
that's a game you can only play online co-op. That's it. You have no other choice. It has to be co-op. So I played, with my son, and it was just nice to do something like that again. Like I can't remember.
Play with your son?
Well, yeah, it's been so long.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Came back from the grocery store. But like doing something like that, it was a little nostalgic. I know we're gonna talk about some memories and stuff, but it just felt like almost a little old school, but still
like Call of Duty Mondays with the boys,
Exactly.
Absolutely. Brett, you got anything to add on what's next in video games?
I don't think video games are the future.
Okay. moving on. We'll start with you then, Brett, about some nostalgia, I should say, nostalgia for video games. Tell us a little bit about your favorite times playing video games.
I think nostalgia is definitely. It's funny that kind of the world we live in, where companies are really banking on our nostalgia. It's like there's got to be like somebody in every company that's like, my job is nostalgia, because like you're seeing games like the Resident Evils, where it's like they're just remaking the old stuff, and Final Fantasy VII, they're just remaking the old stuff, just updated, because it banks on kind of our love for what we had as just like action figures when we talked about, like it banks on our love for something that we had as a kid and trying to bring it to our kids. And in reality, like, it's genius. Like, you don't have to have a brand new idea. You don't have to have a brand new anything. You just need to update the graphics, add a little bit to it, make it relevant again. Like, and Capcom and BT can speak to this probably better than I can. Capcom saw this in the remake of Resident Evil 2.
Oh,
like,
fantastic.
That is one of the best games that I played on the PlayStation. I still remember for nostalgia. Like, I remember the first time I played Resident Evil 2, because I played 2 before I played 1. And I remember in my room, I had a PlayStation in my room finally. And I remember like playing it, and you get into the police station, and that first time you turn the corner and there's that window and the liquor goes across the window, and I was like, I'm done for tonight. Like, I don't need to save. This is a good place to call it. Like, I'm not going in that door. Yeah. And then they remade it for PlayStation 4, and it was amazing. Like, they knocked it out of the park. They kind of hit a single with Resident Evil 3. It was like they were banking on, like, kind of just like the
hype of the
momentum of Resident Evil 2 to kind of carry 3. And I like 3 more than 2 on the regular PlayStation. And it was good. It was just very short for the PS4.
Should have been like a DLC.
Yeah, it was good. It was by all means good. It just wasn't as good as 2. It was amazing. And they're doing it now with Final Fantasy VII. Like, that game was
huge.
In 97. Like, it was huge. And it coming out, and it's like they made some minor tweaks, updated it a little bit, and it was done perfectly on the PS4. And I mean, I'm gonna take your job here. I'm gonna let BT roll.
No, you're good.
I'll pick who's going next, but he can speak to.
I'm just gonna mute him anyway. No.
BT can speak to this better. So BT, go ahead. Tell us. We've talked about this 100 times.
Weird that someone just knocked on my door. I'm a little freaked out.
Jesus, light's not on.
Anyway,
we're alone at the school.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, I think as much as I love the idea of getting these remakes, the things that's making it, the only like hitch that I'm seeing that's annoying is as these systems keep updating, it is nice they're starting to do that thing that you talked about with Spider-Man, where if you buy the PS4 version, you get the PS5 version for free. That is making it nice because it lets you keep and carry over your library, because that's the thing we've lost the most over these years is the backlog of the library. I find it so weird that on the PlayStation, if you log into your PS4 or 5 and you try to go back and buy an old PS1 game, you can't find them. But if I get my PS TV out, which is like the PlayStation Vita that can plug into a TV, they still have the PS1 classics, which I find is kind of broken. Why not just give us all that stuff?
Like Legacy of Kain, man, I freaking love those games.
Yeah. But
do you want to talk about your nostalgia, BT? What, like, your favorite times playing video games?
Like I said before, I've always kind of been more drawn to the story-driven games. And I think the games that I miss the most is, I feel like the genre of the scary game is going down. Like, I don't find the new Resident Evils scary. I really don't. I don't think they look good.
It's the first person of it. It's the first person of it.
Like the Dead Space series. That is a series that I am really upset went away. Dead Space 1 was, they are the perfect comparison of the Aliens movies. Like Dead Space 1 is slow and scary. Dead Space 2 is a little bit more actiony, but still really creepy. Like I can still remember the scene, and this is spoiler for anyone who hasn't played it. There's a scene at the end where you have to actually guide the needle into your own eye's pupil to take a sample.
Yeah.
It took me like 40 minutes to get through that scene because eyes freaked me out so bad. Like you would line it up and get it close, and you'd see his eyes start to panic and look around, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to vomit. Like that is quintessential. Like I love parts
I could not do that. How old were you when you were doing that?
I was in Colombia at the time, so that was like
it's not too long ago.
Another good one that had amazing, the game was called Fear, and it was back when I was still playing on PC. And I remember one time I got so scared and jumped so bad in that game that I threw my computer mouse across the living room, and my dad just looked at me and was like, what is wrong with you? It's like, I'm playing a game, Dad.
Get off my ass.
Hello, Dad.
Get off my ass.
You come over here and fight this creepy Asian girl.
Good stuff there, BT. Morgan, nostalgia?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of mine is like Nintendo 64 days, GameCube. Like I loved playing Mario Party. Like my birthdays, you know, as a kid, my parents would get pizza, we'd have a ton of soda, and then we'd play Mario Party and things like that, or GoldenEye, and you know, like that was always fun. Like I remember, like there was one, I forget what the game was within Mario Party, but you had to rotate the joystick in a circle, and the faster you did it, like you either moved or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And I remember I had my hand, and I'm just like, wow, like as fast as I can to do this. And I burned like a hole in my hand, like I tore skin off because I just was like trying to win this game. Like, but no, that stuff was always a lot of fun. GoldenEye, I have tons of memories.
Classic game.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. That was a good birthday party too.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Thomas Treadwell getting peed on. That was a good birthday.
What did you just say?
Things get a little wild at my birthdays.
You peed on each other? What?
It was stories like that.
Is this a story that we should hold for after recording?
Maybe.
We're not recording. You don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, but no, like GoldenEye was like I loved playing that. Just that stuff, like that nostalgia, those games, and then you know the new stuff too, like the horror games. Like I still have some of that. Like I played that Outlast, where you're like all you had just have a video camera. You got to get batteries to keep it going, and you're like in a mental insane asylum or something. And that was a game where I actually screamed like when playing. It's something like I was in a room, and it's like most video games, when you go through a room and there's nothing there, you don't have to worry about that room again. So I'm just running, and I come back through the room, and I go to this corner. This guy just like in your face, and I scream because it just scared the hell out of me.
Nice.
I mean, that idea of screaming through the breakthrough, I mean, that was pure nemesis Resident Evil 3. Like, he was the first time that you're like, oh, crap, rooms can be different when I come back.
Yeah, that's funny.
It was rough. Yeah, that was fun because I remember because it was around when my son was born, and he was a baby, so I had him. He was like sleeping on my chest. Oh, he was just sleeping, so I was like, "Oh, I'm playing games," and then all of a sudden I'm just,
oh man, good stuff, Morgan. I can resonate with screaming at a game. The Last of Us, I think, made me scream a couple times out loud.
Made me cry out loud.
Yeah, it made all the emotions come out of me.
Just the opening of that.
I mean, for nostalgic anecdotes here, I would say that, you know, my time in the Army with you, Brett, video games were a very big part of what we were doing, whether we were in Iraq or at the Bees. And, you know, some of the big games we played there were Fight Night, the Lord of the Rings games, Marvel, X-Men Legends. And was Ultimate Alliance must have been after, because I think that was like 2008 or 9, right?
I think we had
was the first one. Maybe the first one.
Because it was.
You know what one we did have is that one with the alien invasion where you could play as Daredevil too. What was that one called?
Oh, that was no.
There was an alien. Marvel Nemesis had the alien invasion. Daredevil was in it. That was the one where like all the characters get killed off, so EA's characters can replace them.
Yeah, we had that one stamp.
Yeah, I trust you guys. I'm just trying to remember more into that game. That game was fun, but the first Ultimate Alliance, I think we had in the Army.
We did, because it was the first time that like we made so much fun of Thor, like Chris did it. Because at the time, like he wasn't a very popular character. Like he wasn't. He was a
goofy character. Yeah.
Well, it was like he was the old.
Thou shall not.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
He's not Hemsworth, and like, I mean, he brought that character to relevancy again.
Yeah, and
it was like,
and I'd even say it was not until Thor Ragnarok until that he was really a relatively good character. Anyway, go ahead.
But we made so much fun of him. Go ahead, BT.
I was just gonna say it's funny because like when you guys are talking about these games you played in the Army, me and Morgan were like just around that age of high school, like the end of high school and things like that. And you guys are talking about these games, and we're like, yeah, we played a lot of DDR that summer.
That's
like there was one time moment. I remember I was
What's DDR?
Dance Revolution. I owned it for the I owned it, and I carried that stuff around. Morgan can attest this. I carried around the whole set in the trunk of my Nubira.
He never knew. Never knew when you had to whip out.
You never knew when you're gonna break out DDR.
No, like dance for nothing.
Like we played it so hard that summer. Like when it caught on, like I was like one of the first people. Like when you went to Sam Goody, the DDR used to have dust on it because no one cared. And then like I bought it and started taking it to different parties and stuff. And then all of a sudden it was impossible to find mats and things like that in town because everyone was buying them up so much.
Man,
I remember
that's funny.
I think the funniest one was I was working night shift. So that was from 9:30 to 5:30 in the morning.
BT's in the dark playing it by himself.
No, it was the opposite. I left for work and Morgan and Trooper were playing that game. When I came home from work, they were still playing that game.
We were just dancing, man, all night.
They had the dancing spirit in them. They didn't feel pain.
Sometimes you just got to get with your boys and dance it out, you know?
Believe me, I know that feeling. All right.
That stress out, just dance.
When Brett and I are at a wedding or anything, we dance our butts off. That's funny.
You just no girls.
DDR. That's some good stuff. I was trying to think of what my favorite game we'd play in the Army was, but it was really good. It was really good. It was a really good time playing Fight Night. But I do need to tell this story about in Iraq. The Punisher game came out. I think it was the movie adaptation, wasn't it?
No.
Okay. Either way, I blinked it out of my mind because I was telling everybody last night that Brett made me hate this game because he played it. Oh, he beat it like 70 times that year in Iraq. And it's just like, I'm getting sick of watching Brett just murder people as the Punisher.
Frank Castle. What the
yeah. I mean, now I think I'd love to play that game now, but man, that year I was just like, play.
It's hard. I went back and tried playing it.
It's a hard game to watch.
It's hard to play again because it's I don't know. There's something about like games like going back and playing them. Sometimes it's just not the same. And that's one where I went back and tried playing it again because I loved the crap out of that game.
Yeah.
I think the big killer is we're so used to now where you can move with left joystick and change camera with right joystick that when you go back to old games where you had no control over camera and the right joystick was nothing, I think that's what makes those old games hard.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I went back and tried to play Vice City during quarantine because I was just looking for new games, and there, games were really cheap last year in the PlayStation Store, and I played about 5 minutes. I was like, I can't do this. The controls are too much. But
I have a family.
To book in the show, I think for nostalgia, COD Mondays will always be my favorite times playing video games. And we switched to what was The Division was fun for a while.
Division
that was fun. That was a lot of fun. So COD Mondays will always hold a very special place in my heart. So are
we still in the cold open? Is that what just happened?
Circle back.
You got transported back.
Full circle.
It's a circle. Let's wrap this up and get to some nerd questions. We got some really great ones from some people we know. So the first one comes in from so we have a group chat, us four. Rose, I think Rose in it still, and there's one girl in it, one female. Meg, or as you guys call her, Peaches. I can't believe she has not come out and said, "Take me out of this group chat." But
I have 2 children now, and I need you guys to stop me.
She has been a warrior through some serious nights of Call of Duty, through some Dragon Age, or what's that? Is that what it's called?
Dragon's Dogma.
Dragon's
Dogma. My God. She would just text me like, because that was the one game I didn't play. She would just text me and she'd be like, "Can you get them to stop playing Dragon's Dogma?" And it's just like, no, I can't. So we love you, Meg. You have been a real trooper.
A heck of a trooper.
Yes.
She writes in with a great question, 2-parter. She says, "What's the best video game turned movie in your opinion? And what video game would you like to see made into a movie / who would you cast?" So big question. I'm going to start with my brother Brett on this one. If you had time to think and come up with your answer, if not, we can move to somebody else.
Well, obviously Mario Brothers.
Oh, you said obviously.
I thought we all
Mario Brothers is the
we
best.
all agreed.
Yeah, we talked about this.
The Super Mario Brothers from 1993.
No, it's not obvious. It's not.
He said it's not.
Really?
It's obviously not that.
I mean, the superb acting of John Leguizamo, or whatever the heck his name is.
Leguizamo.
And Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
So, Brett, what's the best video game adaptation?
Dennis Hopper.
Thank you.
I don't think I have a good answer for you for the best one, because like I thought about it last night, and there's not one that I feel like jumps out. Maybe you guys will spark it if you say something, because
it's been a struggle.
I feel like they always fall short, because you love a game, and then they create a movie and they have to change it a little bit.
Yeah,
but it's never what you love. Like, I think it's better when, and I'm not going to step on BT's, I know his answer, but I think it's better when they say, all right, we're just going to create something new based around this game. So I'll let BT.
Yeah. What do you got, BT?
So it's kind of
the second part of the question.
Do you want me to tell us what one you want a movie?
Yeah.
Let's focus on the first part, and then we'll go back.
So mine's a little bit of a cheat because it is based on a video game IP, but it's a continuation of the story. But I would say Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. It just further built up the lore of that universe. It continued on the story of Cloud and how Sephiroth just can't let go, and him holding on to that little bit of hatred inside of him. It isn't.
Is this an animated movie?
Yeah, it's CG. And what's amazing about it is, like, if you look at the CG in it, you got to remember, it came out, 2004, 2005. Yeah. It is comparable to what we see in video game consoles now. Like, it was Square Enix has always been ahead of the game when it comes to creating CG movies, whether it was The Spirit Within was ahead of its time, where they talked about how it took so many days just to create someone's hair. But that
Aquaman could take notes on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Advent Children is the best video game that got a movie based on it.
Okay, Morgan?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, it isn't like the best movie, but that as terms of how movies are. But for me, it's the first Resident Evil movie.
Okay. Yep. Good one.
I'm not saying it's the best
masterpiece.
It's because obviously they did their own thing.
Obviously.
I think only me and Step are the only ones who haven't said it.
I think I said it once or twice.
But No, I enjoyed the story of it. I enjoyed the action of it. It was before they, Mila Jovovich got superpowers and
that's
and
where it went
everything.
downhill. That's where.
But
it went downhill.
yeah, no, the first one I enjoyed it because it still had horror to it.
Yep.
It still had fear to it.
Yep.
I think that for me, that is my favorite video game movie.
Honestly, that one popped into my head. I'm not a Resident Evil fan. I don't like the movies, but I did like the first one. I thought the first one was good. What were you going to say, BT?
I think because we just rewatched that one. I watched it like 2 weeks ago. And I think why that one stands out above the other Resident Evil movies is they did try to do practical effects for a large part of that movie. Like all the zombies in that movie are makeup and classic. Like they look very Romero.
Yeah.
Even the dogs. They just put stuff on the dogs.
Yeah, like the dogs. They used pasta and spaghetti sauce. They had trouble with the dogs licking it off themselves.
That makes sense.
That is awesome.
So like they use practical effects, and when you're watching the movie, that part of the movie I think aged really, really well. But like, even during the scene when the liquor shows up for the first time, Brett looked over and was like, "Oh my god, that's awful."
Yeah,
that's the one part that was CG is it didn't age well, and I think that's why those movies, that first one still stands out as good because it was almost like 90% practical effects, 10% CG.
I mean, Jim Henson
always practical effects.
He's always. It's the second time we talked about Jim Henson on the show.
Yeah. You and me.
He's always. He didn't do that.
He got a big hand in a lot of things.
Didn't do that well.
Like he did the monster puppets in the Poltergeist, and they've aged so well.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he did the Turtles movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except for 3.
The practical.
3.
I think he died right after the first one, didn't he?
Yeah, but his studio was used for the second.
His studio was used for the second. But I think the practical effects make things. They make them last longer. I mean, look at Jurassic Park. I mean, that movie's still gorgeous.
Practical effects, I think, should be the way to go. It's incredible they don't use more. You know what video game adaptation that I still like? It's not the greatest. Is the Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie? They may not hold up as well these days.
I like the newer ones better.
I haven't seen the newest one yet. I haven't avoided. I want to see it, and I've heard nothing. I think even you and I've talked about it, Brett, that you really liked it. So I want to watch it. I will watch it. But for the early '90s, they weren't bad movies.
No, they weren't bad. I think they kind of did their best to be like.
They may not hold up now.
Jolie.
Right.
They were really banking on her star power, I think.
Yeah, big time.
The Sonic movie actually isn't that bad.
That's really a really great point. That is a really good movie.
I think the better point about that movie is the first reaction to the first trailer.
Oh yeah,
because that first
weird
trailer
humanoid thing,
it was terrible. People hated the way that he looked, and we're going to get on a much bigger topic here, but the studio actually listened
to the fans,
and they changed it, and it got a lot. I mean, it was a great movie. It really was. And I think that's the difference. Lots of times it's like studios will get bad reactions from people, and they're like, well, then it's not for you. And it's it's my money. It's gotta be for me. If it's not for me,
exactly. I'm paying for this shit.
You can only say that so many times before you don't have any money.
Yeah. And very good point.
And I think Sonic knocked it out of the ballpark because not only did they say we're going to change it, but they made it very public. They said, hey, we hear you, we understand it, we are going to go back to the drawing board, it's going to cost us more, but we're going to make it better. And then that movie killed it.
Right. And I can't wait for the Sonic 2. It's got Tails and Tails and Knuckles. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
That might be the better one, the best.
Yeah, in hindsight, that's probably the best adaptation.
Very, very, very good point. And so let's move to the second part of that question.
One thing. Do you know who the voice of him was?
Of Sonic?
The guy from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
The guy who looks like the guy from Stranger Things.
He's awesome. I didn't realize that was him.
He's really good at Sonic. And that movie was so good. Penny really loves that movie. All right. Second part of that question was, in what video game would you like to see made into a movie / who would you cast? Now let's not include the Last of Us because they're already making that and it's casted. So tell me another game that you guys want to see made into a movie or TV show. And who would be the star? Who's ready? Morgan's ready. He looks like he's ready. Go ahead,
I'm ready, but I feel like it's annoying because obviously I want to see The Last of Us.
Oh, obviously.
Why is it so hard to not say that word?
It's Morgan's first time hosting. He's understanding. It's just like your brain is like in a different zone, and you do things.
My first time hosting, I haven't said the word yet.
I would say
you're an amazing speaker, BT.
I would prefer video game adaptations to be shows over movies. I know why, but go ahead. Yeah, because they can flesh it out and actually tell. I mean, you're taking a video game that can take 20 hours or longer to beat, and you're jamming it into an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. Now,
unless you're Peter Jackson, like he can.
Well, yeah.
He still makes 16-hour movies.
Yeah.
Better than one ending, 38 endings.
Yeah. And, no, wait. But the one I would like, and they're making it as we speak, is Uncharted. That is another game that I played before The Last of Us. That was my.
That was like, I need to see this as a movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got Tom Holland in it, and we love Tom Holland on this show.
It's almost disappointing because they did an Uncharted short video on YouTube that had Nathan Fillion. That's so good already.
Yeah, that would have. I mean, Nathan Fillion is. How many times has he been fan casted as something and been like, that's a perfect fan cast?
But that's the one that I want, and they're making it, so I'm excited. And
I'll let you have that.
Other than The Last of Us.
Oh, wait. How about you, BT?
I would go with Parasite Eve, which was an old. It was an RPG horror game on the PS1. It kind of had a blend of like that Asian horror to it with creepy little girls, and it was just generally like the opening cinematic of that game was one of my favorite openings to a game, where she goes to an opera and the opera singer on stage, like she's the bad guy in it, and all of a sudden like everyone just starts to spontaneously combust and everyone is on fire except for the main character in it, which is Aya Bree, which is the main girl there. Which
one did you like better, BT? The first one or the second one? Because they were completely different play styles.
Story-wise, one is vastly superior. Gameplay-wise, I had a lot more fun with two. It was a lot faster paced.
Yeah.
The gameplay in the first one was you had to wait for your turn to attack, but you could run around and dodge attacks and stuff. And then once it was your turn to attack, you could attack, and depending on your weapon, it had different ranges and different bullets and stuff. So it was very tactical, the first game. As for who I'd cast her, in the first game, the main character, she's blonde, kind of small and petite, and she's about 25 years old. So I went with Anya Taylor-Joy, who just did Magic in the New Mutants movie.
Yeah, and she was the Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit, yeah. Like
she's great.
She's great. Picture of Aya, and it's like, oh man, this is obvious.
Oh,
is that?
I think that counts. That counts. I'm taking it. It counts.
It counts.
And she was in that BT, wasn't she in that one movie you watched?
The Nun.
The Witch.
Yeah,
the Witch. Yeah, not the Nun. Yeah, the Witch. Yeah.
The Witch was a little rough, but
I didn't realize she was in
she's talented. She's going to be like a big star if she
was in
considered.
Glass and the one before it.
Yeah.
I can't think of
Split.
the name of it. Split, yeah.
Yeah. Brett, you got a pick?
Oh, I do. Yes, I do have a pick. My pick would be Fear Effect. I don't know if you ever played that.
I didn't play it, but I know it.
Really?
No, I didn't play it.
It was PlayStation 1. There's Fear Effect 1 and Fear Effect 2. I could have wrote the strategy guide for one.
You did write one.
I started one. I definitely started one. I wouldn't say it's it's got scary things, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's like a scary game. I don't know why they called it Fear Effect, I guess, but I guess I would cast, and I had to look. I'm going to butcher this poor girl's name, and I had to look it up because I'm going to butcher it. It was
butcher away.
It was Cara Delevingne,
the girl from
Valerian.
Valerian, yeah.
She was in Suicide Squad as well.
The first one?
Who was she in Suicide Squad?
She was the witch.
Oh, Cara Delevingne. Cara Delevingne.
Yeah, I butchered
the model.
Let me try to say it. Delevingne.
Cara Delevingne.
Delevingne. How did you not get that from Delevingne?
I did. I just wanted to hear more about what you were saying.
I'll cast her. I'll cast her. Although,
yeah, she's got some eyes on her, man.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of the reason for the pick, because the game was kind of done in a comic book kind of look, and the eyes were very big, like
very anime.
It was very anime, and so that's why I would put her in that role. Although the main character was dark haired, but it's hair. You can change it.
That'd be a neat movie because like a lot of that game takes place where you're constantly moving points of view, but things are still kind of happening at the same time. And I would say Glass is as just a main character as she was in that.
Oh yeah, Glass. Who was the other? Deke.
And then Rain was in the second game. Who was
Rain
was
in the second one.
Okay. I can't comment on it because I never played it, but I would assume that you have picked a good pick and
I did. It was
good fan casting. I think I would pick. I want to see
Madden, because that's real.
Madden.
They actually have the exact acters that you think.
I was literally going to make a Madden joke there, and you took it out of my mouth. I was literally going to say Madden. Because I want to see I want to see Broncos go 16-0 and win the Super Bowl and score 120 points a game.
Taller for some reason, it's weird.
Yeah.
It has no effect on.
And I'm the quarterback for the Broncos. Are you kidding me? That would be amazing. So thank you, Meg, Peaches.
What was your pick then?
Yeah, what was your pick? You didn't.
That was me. Pick was Madden. They are. I'll kind of use the Morgan cheat. This is in development. They've casted Jake Gyllenhaal and Emily Chastain, but the Division movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're making that into a movie, and Jake Gyllenhaal and Jessica Chastain have been casted. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's a Gyllenhaal fan.
I'm not saying that's a weird pick on your part. That's a weird movie for a studio to pick up right now. A game based on a virus shutting down all life for people for a while.
It was casted before COVID.
Yeah.
Is it called
Division COVID? It is Division COVID-19. It is. It may be. It may not ever happen again now.
Yeah. Well, so Sweet Tooth on Netflix. That's about a virus.
Yeah.
Well, again, that was made before.
Right
COVID.
before, but like they still released it. They weren't like, we can't do this.
No, if they make it, it's different. I mean, Division hadn't been made. They just casted and they had a director for the movie. So it's easy to put that one on the shelf.
True.
But I think it's a really stupid idea to move away from real world stuff. You know, there's that theory about Falcon and Winter Soldier that there was a worldwide virus in that show and they moved away from it. It's like, make it relevant to the world today. I think it'd be great. So thank you, Meg. Thank you, Peaches. That's the same person for people out there. That's some great questions. Let's go to from our Twitter follower, Caitlin Harper at Emerald_Midgear. She says, I followed all of E3. Several of the conferences I found severely lacking. So it's kind of a common theme like you guys were talking about. For those of y'all that watched the conferences, which did you find the most exciting, the most disappointing? She thought that Ninty was by far the best. So also wondering which games you're excited for. We talked about it a little bit, but if you guys have something more to add, please do. I did not watch it, so I don't have anything to add to it. I didn't even know what was going on.
I am excited for the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Everything except for the actual character models in that game looks good.
Yeah.
Drax looks abysmal. Like if his
they do look
so weird.
Aren't you only playing as Quill?
Star-Lord. Yeah.
You can only play as Quill.
That's what it seemed like from what I've seen.
No.
You're only playing as him.
There was a character wheel. I guarantee you they're going to let you switch characters.
Well,
style.
I don't know. I don't think you switch characters. I think as Quill, you can command the other characters to do things.
I'm not going to listen to him.
Play AI games. If you remember your Pawn from Dragon's Dogma, that thing didn't listen to anything. His weak to fire. That's all you ever say. Shut up.
Little Dragon's Dogma.
That's great. So what else you guys got? We're running a little low on time.
I was a little disappointed in that a few months ago, a file leaked from Capcom with their release dates of games they're working on. And I was really hoping they would say something about the Resident Evil Outbreak remake, and we got nothing on that. We didn't get any.
And that was the game.
Again, COVID.
That was the game. And BT, I'm trying to give you something to go on here, but that game was way before its time.
Yeah, like anyone who didn't play Outbreak, it was on the PS2 when PS2 really wasn't online gaming wasn't a thing, and that was a game that truly had hardcore co-op, like someone holding the door back with the zombies while someone's solving the puzzle and another person is boarding up windows. Like that game was meant for co-op in a time when online co-op really wasn't a thing.
I think it'd be a huge game right now.
Yeah. I think now that the capability is there, that game would explode.
It was a game that like, it was the AI. You usually played with the AI, and no matter who you picked, the AI was
they were going to get key items, and then they were going to go die in stupid places.
Like because there was items that you needed, like keys and parts to puzzles, and they would go pick it up, and then they go die in some room, and you've got no idea where they are.
Right.
You're gonna go find them and pick up what they had, and it was a really fun game that I think they really need to take another look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And so with that, let's wrap it up because we are running low on time. You're going to get more of us as we're going to jump into our Loki review right after this. But I really, really, really had a great time today, guys, talking video games with you and revisiting some of our past playing video games. Last night's pre-production meeting was some of the most fun I've had in a long time. I really miss you guys. I wish we could all be together soon enough. We'll all have to get together and do a boardwalk like we did down in Maryland that one day. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
But I miss you guys, and thank you so much for coming on. I had a great time.
Same. Thanks
for having us. Thanks everyone who sent questions.
It actually got quiet when we did that.
What was that, Brett? Anyway, till next time, when we have you guys on, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We love you. Listen to the show. This is a little bit longer of one, but it's been a lot of fun. So, and watch it in little spurts, and you'll be
double the host, double the time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm surprised that actually this wasn't 3 hours with 4 hours. So I think we did a great job. And with that being said, we'll see you in the Loki review. Bye.